All right, I think we'll get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your interest in the CITRIS Seed Funding Program. Please use the Q&A feature for questions and comments. We will address questions at the end of the presentation in open forum. Important links will be shared via chat. And just so you know, the recording and slides will be posted on the CITRIS Seed Funding homepage. For those of you who are not yet familiar with CITRIS, I'll just say a little bit about our mission. Connecting 4 campuses, the Center for Information Technology Research in the Interest of Society and the Bonitow Institute, CITRIS, leverages the University of California's strengths to create information technology solutions for society's most pressing challenges. Central to our vision is advancing a people-centered approach to these societal scale transformations. We are founded in 2001 by Governor Gray Davis, and we will be celebrating our 25th anniversary celebration starting next year, so pretty soon. We have a 4-pronged approach. You can see here, technology-driven. We have supported 263 seed funding projects, and we've awarded $14.3 million to date. We are also entrepreneurial. 230 ventures have been supported, and more than 12 leading edge sectors. We are also synergistic. More than 15 industry partners and more than 2,100 students. And we have supported more than 15 disciplines. On to you, Camille.
Great. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this info session about the CITRIS Seed Funding Award Program. We're really excited to have you here and are glad that you want to learn more about the program. So you just heard from my colleague, Senior Director of Development, Tamara Bach, and I am Executive Director, Camille Crittenden. And together with our colleagues and development associates, we're pleased to bring you this slide presentation. It's also being recorded and will be available for your reference later on. You'll see some links to various resources in the chat as we go along, and we really welcome your questions at the end. So just a few more words about CITRIS, and then I'll get on to specifically to the seed funding program. If you're not aware of the scope of CITRIS's work, we operate on 4 campuses. UC Berkeley is the headquarters, and we work closely with UC Davis, including the health center there, UC Merced, and UC Santa Cruz. So we really welcome PIs from all of those campuses to participate in the seed funding program. We're organized into 4 research initiatives. As you may have seen in the RFP, these are roughly mapped to the areas of interest for that. So CITRIS Aviation, Climate, Health, and Policy. And I won't go in detail into each of those, but you can certainly learn more on the website and in the call for proposals. In addition to those research initiatives, we have a number of other programs related to technology and innovation. So we have an innovation hub that welcomes visitors here who might want to come and learn more about the innovations that are happening in each of these different areas, or just generally to learn more about startup formation. The seed funding program, as you'll hear, has been going on for quite some time, so that's really a pillar of what CITRIS is able to offer to our community. We have a number of industry partnerships, and we have had various programs to support innovation and entrepreneurship. So you'll hear a little bit more about that as well, in addition to the various maker spaces and labs and other facilities, not only here at UC Berkeley, but at all 4 of the CITRIS campuses. The next slide is going to speak to seed funding, so I'll just go ahead and keep talking about that. It was launched 16 years ago, so it's really been around for quite some time in the history of CITRIS. We've offered, as I think Tamara mentioned previously, over $14 million in awarded projects over that time, and it's had a really good success rate for follow-on funding. So many of the PIs who have received CITRIS awards have gone on to either receive larger grants, maybe from federal agencies or other foundations and philanthropy, or in various ways have found support for their programs based on the work that they were able to accomplish during the seed funding. The seed program itself is really meant to catalyze early stage research. So if you have an idea that you want to test out, a prototype that you want to develop, this is the program for you. The idea is that PIs will come together and be able to create something that then would put them in a better position for applying for larger funding later on, or to help to have a proof of concept or prototype that they can use to show to investors or others that might be interested in their work. So the next slide is going to tell you about the different areas that we are inviting proposals in this year. As I mentioned, they're roughly similar to the areas of focus for CITRIS itself. So in aerospace and aviation, sustainable transportation, UAVs, remote sensing, all the applications that you could imagine within that broad umbrella of aerospace and aviation. The second category is in AI and robotics. There's a lot happening, I know, across our 4 campuses in this area. So regardless of the application space, we're interested in what you're doing with AI and robotics and autonomy. The third is in digital health. As I mentioned, UC Davis Health is one of our key partners, and they have a lot of great clinicians who are ready to partner with you. If you are an engineer or a computer scientist, we're happy to help you make some matches if there's an idea that you want to test out across the 4 campuses, but especially UC Davis Health is one area that might be useful. And then finally, in sustainability and climate resilience, this is a core area for CITRIS and has been for quite some time in different iterations, but also, again, across the 4 campuses, there are a lot of examples of how we're helping to address climate change. So energy infrastructure, ag tech, including water and food and sustainability, looking at the built environment. There are a number of different examples, which I'll share in just a moment. Looking at the right-hand side, you'll see in bullet points the gist of the program. We've opened the RFP, so you can take a look at that already. Again, looking for early stage emerging IT challenges, proof of concept. The range of funding is $40,000 to $60,000 per project. So that also has held steady for a number of years, which I realize falls probably kind of in the mid-range, perhaps, of what the proposals that you might have seen, calls for proposals that you may have seen, but that's the budget for 12 months of focused work. So we really want you to see you get in there and do something and have something to show for it at the end of 12 months. So occasionally we will agree to no-cost extensions, but we really prefer that if you're awarded, that you're able to do the work that you set out to do within 12 months. So think about that as you're scoping your proposal. We really welcome interdisciplinary teams. We understand that a lot of the tough challenges that we're all facing will require an interdisciplinary approach. It can't be just from a technology side, but if you have a socio-technical kind of solution that you want to bring, we're really all ears for what those might be. Oh, there we go. So this is the slide that we're looking at. These are examples of previous seed awarded projects, and you'll see it has the name of the project and then the 2 campuses that were involved in it and the disciplines. So just to give you a quick overview of some of these, the one on the far left, real-time patient monitoring to prevent pressure and injuries, brought together people with the sensing technology and healthcare clinicians to come up with a prototype that would help to monitor patients who have to be in bed for a long time to avoid bed sores or other kinds of irritations, using this kind of sensor technology, which can help to alert caregivers or family members if there are issues happening with the deterioration of skin or other parts that would need to be addressed earlier rather than later. It's called PIMAP, P-I-M-A-P. The second one, electric tractors for clean energy and farming operations, is really exciting. We're happy to have the participation from 2 of the Central Valley and Northern Valley campuses, Merced and Davis, because those are heavily focused on ag tech. There's a specialty and expertise in both of those within ag tech. And what this project did was to do a lot of the planning and forecasting and modeling for what it would take for farmers to convert their equipment from gas burning tractors and such to an electric vehicle. And so it might take more upfront investment or more specialized kind of assessment of the equipment that they would need, but they show that over the long term, of course, it ends up to be more economical and more advantageous for the environment and for public health. So once you get rid of the gas-powered tractors, you're able to eliminate a lot of that air pollution that is so harmful to farm workers and to others in the Central Valley especially. Similar to that air quality monitoring, we also have another project here starting on the second from the right on smart thermostats. Now, wildfire, of course, is a big concern for Californians and for many others in the West Coast and around the world. And during the course of previous wildfires, it was understood that it was a difficult decision to know when we should shut up our houses and buildings and to avoid having the smoke and particulate matter be coming in through the doors and windows, or would that also make the air quality inside the buildings become stale and unhealthy just because we couldn't get that air circulation? So this team was using the smart thermostats to try to understand what is that balance, when should we be monitoring for outside matter coming into our buildings, and what's the time when we should perhaps turn on some air circulation and trying to use the infrastructure that's already available in many of our homes and buildings to understand that. And then finally, on the far right, again, theme of the wildfire, using some of the robotics technology, both terrestrial drones and flying drones, to be able to understand better wildfire prediction, wildfire detection. There's a lot happening in this area, and we have many more examples of wildfire projects, but this is just one. So hopefully those four will give you an idea of some of the teams and projects that we've been able to support in the past. So as I said before, the teams have to include PIs from at least two of the CITRIS campuses. And in this case, UC Davis and UC Davis Health are considered independently as campuses. So it could be that your team would have one from Davis Health and one from UC Davis main campus, but then otherwise to include one from each of the four named CITRIS campuses. The awards are unrestricted. There's no overhead taken, so you don't need to run it through your sponsored projects office. Just send us your proposal and it will be a simple transfer to your funds, and we'll get all that information as part of the proposal process. The funds may not be used for faculty salary. That's one of the restrictions. If you go to the next slide. So how do you find a collaborator? We have a number of ways that you can. One is to look in our online directory. So what you see on the left is just the basic researcher directory that you'll see on the CITRIS website. Another way is that we have developed an automated tool, and their link is there, CITRIS Match Finder, that we'll also put in the chat. This is a generative AI platform that we've developed to help you be able to query what PIs might be available to be a partner for you if you have an idea and you're looking for a partner on another campus. And finally, of course, we welcome your inquiries to us personally, and we can refer you to the initiative directors and campus directors also to help to connect you with faculty members who we know about and whose research might be a good complement to the work that you're trying to do. And again, collaborators outside of engineering and the STEM fields are really welcome. So we've had proposals in the past that have come from political scientists, from artists, from public policy, from many other areas of campus. So I encourage you to think broadly about who you might want to partner with as you're shaping your proposal. So here are some suggestions for a strong proposal. Of course, think about the potential for societal impact. We want to make sure that you're clearly understanding what is the problem that you are seeking to solve with this solution. So defining it within the scope of those four main focus areas, what is the problem that your solution is trying to address? We're really interested in the potential for scale up and follow-on funding. That's really one of the key metrics of success for us, is how many of the projects have gone on to receive additional funding and at what scale. So think about that you'll be asked that question on the proposal. What are the possibilities for additional funding beyond this 12-month project? Does it align with CITRIS's focus areas? And I want to emphasize here that we do consider the aspect of information technology innovation as part of the evaluation. So it can't just be that you're using a database to do your social science research. The innovative IT aspects really need to be baked into the proposal overall, that those will be the most winning proposals, is if you have a new idea for a device or software or database or some piece of IT infrastructure that's going to be essential to carrying out the project. Looking at feasibility, we want to make sure that you're not proposing something in so grand a scale that it would be infeasible to finish it within the 12 months. We want you to think carefully about what you can accomplish in the 12 months and make sure that that seems like a logical scope of work to propose. And please consider including pre-tenure faculty, multiple disciplines. We really want to make this opportunity available for as wide a range of the faculty as possible. So think about how you can include them and other diverse voices in your proposal. Here's the funding timeline. The online application is open now. You're welcome to go and check it out. We're having the info session here today. The proposals are due next month, April 22nd at 5 o'clock. So please keep an eye on that clock and get them submitted on time. We will go through the review process in the month of May, and we'll notify you by June 16th. That's our target. And then you'll be asked this question on the proposal too. When would you like the period of performance to start? Should it be starting with the new fiscal year on July 1st or the new calendar year on January 1st? However you want to organize your proposal. Sometimes people say, well, it might take me the fall semester to hire graduate students who are going to work on it, or some other considerations might lead them to want to start in January rather than July. Or if you're all ready to go, then we can get you the funding relatively quickly and you can be off to the races starting in July. So here's just a summary, the type of funding. You'll see the information there, 40 to 60K per award, 12-month performance period. Principal investigator teams from those 5 campuses, counting UC Davis main campus and UC Davis Health as each campus. There's the deadline, additional resources. There's a lot of information on our webpage, including full technical descriptions of each of those 4 categories. So those, as you'll read on the website, have a lot more detail than what we're able to share here in a slide presentation. But take a look. I think that we wanted to make it broad enough so that all kinds of proposals might qualify under those descriptions within those 4 categories. And of course, we're here for your questions. There's an email alias there, seedteam@citris-uc.org, or feel free to contact me or Tamara for any questions, and we'll be sure to put you in touch with the right folks. So with that, I will take a look at the questions, and maybe Ravneet, if you could help to maybe read out some of the questions that you're seeing. So I'm just looking at the questions now. Can I elaborate on how projects are defined? Some proposals will contain multiple projects. I would say probably not, just because it's not that much money to support a lot of different projects, and it's not that much time.
Can you elaborate on some proposals will contain multiple, and this is attendee.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping you're able to hear me. Yes. Next. So I think because of time and the amount of funding that's available, probably limit it to one project that you think you could be successful in making headway on during that period. Can funds be used for research events involving the project, like workshops? Yeah, that would be allowable. If you, you'll have a chance in the budget narrative section to say how you would spend the funding, so you can feel free to elaborate on what you have in mind there. So yeah, and things like travel for PIs to attend meetings, things like that is also allowed. We want to be sure that you're able to get the results of the project out in a reasonable way. So those kinds of expenses are also allowed under the project. Is it allowed for PIs with an active seed grant from the 2024 cycle to submit a proposal for a new project? If yes, is there an implicit lower priority those who might have been awarded recently? The technical answer is yes, you may submit a new proposal, and we have certainly had PIs who have won multiple seed awards over the years. I don't know if consecutive awards is typical. What we don't want to see is that you're proposing something that would just be an extension of the previously seed-funded award. So these are really meant to seed new ideas. So if you have an idea for a new proposal, we would welcome seeing that. Let's see, since the program focuses on IT, does it mean you prefer an IT faculty being the lead PI? Not necessarily. We've had PIs, especially say in health, where the lead PI has been a faculty clinician. So yeah, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily prioritizing the IT specialist to be the lead PI. We just want to see that strong involvement and innovation in IT. Can I have just one faculty member as a PI to collaborate with me as a UCSF faculty member? The PIs must come from the CITRIS campuses. So for you from UCSF to participate, you wouldn't receive funding, and you would need to gather 2 PIs from CITRIS campuses. So we have had participants from UCSF in the past, but we can't offer funding to them, and it does still require that you have at least 2 PIs from the CITRIS campuses. Would you recommend forming new teams versus a new project with existing collaborative teams? Oh, I see what you mean. I don't think we are strongly in favor of forming a new team just for its own sake. If you have a team that you feel like has been working well and you have a new idea, I'd say that's the key. If you have a new project that you want to work on, then feel free to submit again as a team. I think that would be totally fine. Can I provide more detail on how proposals are evaluated? Who are the reviewers? So I spoke a little bit, Scott, to the review criteria. How does CITRIS evaluate the success of the seed funding program? So some of the things that I mentioned that would make a strong proposal, having it carefully scoped and something innovative, something that's likely to lead to follow-on funding. And how does CITRIS evaluate the success of the seed funding program? That's a great question. I mentioned before what we're able to track of follow-on funding. So we will ask you for reports at the end. And in order to be eligible to apply for a new seed grant, you must be all in order with the paperwork from any previous seed award that you have received. So we want to make sure that the reports are coming in and those are being finalized. So that's one of the metrics that we have is in your reporting. If you say, yes, it was presented at XYZ conference, we applied for these 3 follow-on grants and we've spoken to the program officers, it seems likely that we'll be in the running for an NSF award or, whatever the case might be. But really having that follow-on funding and having the engagement of the faculty would be CITRIS's KPIs on the seed award program. Is it allowed to be a PI or co-PI on multiple seed proposals? You can be the lead PI on one, but you can participate in more than that. So just be careful as to the time you're allocating for yourself. If they should all be awarded, that it's reasonable for you to be able to actually participate meaningfully, but you can't be on a lead PI on more than one proposal. For academic institutions outside the 4 you mentioned, funding cannot be provided. Does this mean funding is not provided directly and the other organization is a sub-awardee? The funds for this program can't be given to campuses that are not Berkeley, Davis, Merced, or Santa Cruz. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. I don't think there's a way that there's no sub-award mechanism, right, because it's not needed to go through the sponsored projects office. That would just be a gift transfer. But if you show us that in the budget, it's probably unlikely that would be regarded favorably if it's going to a non-CITRIS campus. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. I think that answers the questions that were in the Q&A. Are there any others that folks would like to present? Anything lingering? And again, we're available, email seeds team at citris-uc.org with your questions. If not, thank you so much for your attention and your interest in the CITRIS Seed Award Program. Again, we'll have the slides available and we'll have the recording available if you want to refer to it later on for what we covered today. But really want to thank you for your time and your interest. We look forward to seeing your proposals.